One of the most important traits that help to create the Sigma personality type is intelligence. The Sigma is used to success for a variety of reasons, but his brains are a major player in his accomplishments. Being smart has many advantages, but just like with everything else, there are always pros and cons. So in today's video, we're going to learn about 9 surprising downsides of being a smart Sigma male. Number 9. Meeting expectations can be a burden. It's obvious to everyone around him that the Sigma male has great potential, and as a result, people expect him to do great things with it. On the one hand, the Sigma may get a boost of confidence from their support, feeling more empowered to reach his goals, but on the other hand, it can create stress and damage his self-esteem. While the Sigma doesn't necessarily care what other people think, he does still value the opinions of those close to him. Those who are close to the Sigma admire him and believe that he will achieve greatness no matter what, which places a certain amount of stress on the Sigma and can cause him some level of physical or emotional distress. No matter how smart he is, other people's expectations are a heavy burden. Fortunately though, the Sigma male doesn't have to add to that the stress of not having enough faith in himself. He has plenty of that, and that will carry him through. He knows that despite everything, at the end of the day, the only expectations that really matter are his own. Number 8. He can look like a show-off. The Sigma male is considered an intellectual, and he enjoys sharing his profound knowledge with others. He loves to think, reason, and problem-solve, and therefore likes to discuss difficult subjects. But not everyone shares the same passion for these topics, and may even criticize the Sigma for his natural curiosity and academic mind. This reaction is no surprise to the majority of intelligent people, just not the Sigma. He wants to talk about the topics he enjoys, but will always be at risk of trying to rub his brilliance in their face. But the Sigma isn't trying to impress them. He just wants to share interesting knowledge and discuss things he finds exciting. But people aren't always that receptive to the challenging or controversial topics the Sigma enjoys, and as a result, he has to go through life letting the negative comments fall on deaf ears. Number 7. He finds challenges a breeze. The Sigma might be smart, but he isn't immune from developing bad habits. The average person has to work hard to get just average results, but the Sigma excels without even batting an eyelid, and usually breezes through every problem he encounters. He possesses a raw intelligence that begins to develop early in life, which certainly takes him a long way. But on the flip side, bad habits can stem from this. No matter how smart and bright he is, there will come a time in a Sigma's life where he has to do the same as everybody else. Work hard and ride the struggle bus. But if everything has always come easily to him so far, he may find it especially difficult and taxing on his state of mind if he has to persevere through struggle. Despite the effect on his mental health, however, the Sigma is not afraid of failure and takes it in his stride. He has enough self-control and a strong enough work ethic to weather the storm and reach his true potential regardless, meaning he is likely to continue succeeding in all areas of his life. Number 6. He fears ignorance. As a confident, self-assured, mentally strong, and logically minded male, there aren't many things that the Sigma fears, but there is one thing that can give him the heebie-jeebies, and that thing is ignorance. The Sigma is well used to being the smartest person in the room most of the time, so the irrational fear of being anything but can raise its head from time to time. The Sigma doesn't care about being on top per se. As we know, he shuns the idea of the social hierarchy, but he still prefers to remain where he's comfortable, in a position that he's always known, which is being one of, if not the smartest people and surrounded by people of a similar caliber. But this is where the Sigma can run into trouble if he isn't careful. By refusing to ever be ignorant, he runs the risk of preventing his intellectual growth by being impatient and attempting challenges that he's not yet ready to handle. For example, if he wants to learn a new skill but is a beginner, he may well skip 10 steps because he figures he is smart enough. By not learning the basics, he could end up failing. But really, failure is only a small setback for the Sigma, and he will persevere regardless. Number 5. He attracts jealousy. Attention isn't something the Sigma male seeks out, but it's inevitable when one is so smart. He prefers to hide in the shadows, only being surrounded by supportive friends and colleagues. But the reality is that he can't just hide his intelligence, and that means he will encounter those who become insanely jealous of his intellect, talents, and capabilities. He might meet people who pretend to be his friends so they can take advantage of him and his smarts. But fortunately, the Sigma can smell inauthenticity a mile away, so this isn't usually too much of an issue. Similarly, he knows there are individuals out there who want him to fail and will even try to actively sabotage him or his success. Either way, the Sigma male is treated differently by others because he's smarter than they are. He knows how manipulative and cruel people can be, and this is one of the reasons that he is hyper-aware of toxic patterns someone may display and unhealthy relationships on the whole. But the downside to this is that he's afraid to be vulnerable, and this can prevent him from developing healthy, emotional, intimate relationships. Number 4. He can make errors in judgment. The Sigma is highly intelligent, and with his keen observation skills, quick thinking, and rational mind, you would think that he's pretty much always right. But as it turns out, he may be prone to making more faulty assumptions than the average person. Sigmas are only human, and it's natural to make mistakes. But surprisingly, his high level of intelligence can mean he doesn't always draw the most accurate conclusions. Being so analytic and straight-thinking in his approaches, the Sigma gathers evidence, looks for patterns and applies his logic, but sometimes finds that the world just doesn't always behave in the way he expects from his conclusions. The Sigma knows he's intelligent, which isn't surprising, given the high level of self-awareness, but the problem is he might occasionally assume he knows more than he does, which can mean he misjudges the people he meets or situation from time to time. The Sigma likes to be ahead of the game to avoid any nasty surprises, but no matter how smart he is, he can't predict the future. Number 3. He may experience cyclical disappointment. The Sigma is ambitious, determined, and has many things he wants to accomplish in his life and will rarely settle for anything less. His abundancy of ambition is one of the Sigma's best qualities, but the downside is that it can also affect his confidence in certain situations. Now, we know the Sigma has bags of self-confidence, but he is human after all and isn't immune to suffering a bout of low self-esteem from time to time. The problem is that being such an ambitious overachiever means he always has his sights set on the top prize, so rarely feels satisfied with the small accomplishments along the way. Instead, often hyper-focusing on how far he still has to go. This means that the Sigma male is usually extra hard on himself, even if he's moving in the right direction. He works harder than most people, yet is often disappointed or unsatisfied until he reaches the end goal. And over time, this toxic cycle can negatively affect his self-esteem and motivation. Number 2. Overactive thinking. Introspection and self-analysis are things that the Sigma male indulges in regularly. But on the flip side, this can often lead him to overthinking, which makes it hard to rest, relax, and wind down. His constant planning, thinking, and problem-solving can leave him to feeling mentally exhausted. At times like these, like many other smart people, the Sigma may start to rely on things that distract him from his own mind. The problem is, these distractors can make the problem worse, causing more anxiety and cyclical thinking. The Sigma is fortunately able to combat this to an extent, as he often practices cognitive exercises to keep his brain switched on and participates in activities that give him an outlet, like reading, writing, playing music, or whatever gives his brain a healthy break and relieves his emotional distress. Now, before we look at the number 1 reason on our list of downsides for being a smart Sigma, we just want to remind you that if you're enjoying today's video, then please share it and like the video too. It allows us to grow the channel and helps us to bring you more content. Finally, on to number 1. Sometimes he can't let go. Generally, the Sigma is more open-minded and receptive than the average guy, instinctively looking for answers and making arguments to find solutions. But not everybody wants to hear about it. This trait is a great characteristic to have when it comes to work, but not so much when it comes to social situations. The Sigma male prefers to avoid confrontation, but if he's provoked enough, he will retaliate. Unless there's an obvious conclusion, the Sigma refuses to move on until he feels satisfied with the cause, reason, and outcome. Essentially, his intelligence can put the argument at risk of being worse than it needs to be. Why not just forget and move on without quashing it, you ask? Well, for the Sigma, like other intelligent individuals, indifference doesn't come naturally, and he prefers mutual understanding. Thanks for watching today's video. We appreciate hearing your thoughts, so let us know in the comment section below if there's any downsides we've missed. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content. We release new videos every week, so make sure to click the notification bell to be the first to know of our latest uploads.